Hello, I'm Nika Abdullah, and I am here to answer tonight's discussion board question on how I prepare and deliver a research presentation. We've all heard the saying, preparing prevents poor performance. And in order to prepare for a scholarly presentation, I will begin by clarifying the purpose of the event, identify the audience, organize the content, design the visual format and engagement strategy, and then prepare to deliver the information with clarity and confidence. So, preparing for me requires me to quiet my mind, kind of slow down, just take some time. I saw in the readings this week the word oasis. I really like that word. For me, that means setting boundaries, limiting interruptions, eliminating distractions. And I really like the suggestion of starting with no computer, no digital device, just with paper and pen or a whiteboard and markers, and giving myself the space to think freely and deeply before I start a slide deck. I feel like it's important to clarify the purpose of the event of this presentation. So, am I there to share useful knowledge? Am I there to teach something new? Am I there to motivate and inspire? Or am I there to change people's minds or behavior? Ultimately, I feel like my role is to persuade people to understand or change or do something. In essence, I want them, we know they're going to show up. How they show up, what is the after, what do I want to lead to, what is the information I want the audience to leave with. So I think that is important to clarify the event, and in order to be able to know that, to clarify the purpose, and in order to be able to um, understand what the audience, how they might show up and what you need them to do after, you got to know the audience. You got to prepare for a specific audience and not a general audience. You got to consider their background, their professional roles, what they know already, the language that they use or that we use in an educational setting. Is this audience teachers? Are they educators? Are they support professionals? Are they administrators? If so, then I would use certain terminology or certain jargon or abbreviations that they could relate to. But if this is an audience of parents or family members or students, I would need to make the language more accessible without oversimplifying it. And organizing the content, another important step in preparing for the scholarly presentation. So before creating the slides, planning the structure. And in this week's readings, there were a couple of suggestions. One was creating using a presentation worksheet template to help me organize my thoughts and condense my message so that my audience can understand my points and remember the key takeaway. I know that I will use that. I feel like that's a really useful tool, and I love tools like that to help me keep organized. And I also like the suggestion of an hourglass method or approach to organizing the presentation. So starting with a hook, a preview of the conclusion so that the audience understands where the presentation is headed, and then kind of fill in the middle with the details, the data, the methods, and the evidence, so that the audience can pull it together. They see where you started with the conclusion. Now they see how you got there, and then you return to the message or what it is, the key takeaways that you want them to walk away with. And again, that helps the audience just really drive home the points that you're making, or what the results of your study were, or what the findings were. The engagement strategy. So again, I said that I would start with pencil, paper, whiteboard markers, but I also from there would go right to a slide deck and use it as a placeholder to get my thoughts out. So maybe using the slides as and this is in the preparation, to know the organization of how I want to go, and then make sure that while I'm presenting that these slides are only my outline and not a script. I certainly just want to reinforce the ideas and not overwhelm the audience with a bunch of words or stand there and read from the slides. And my slides during this preparation, I want to focus on clean formatting, clear messaging, and a nice visual balance. I've been in presentations where, the slides were, you know, they might have had multiple presentations and they got different fonts and different colors, and it just looks different, and that's very distracting, and you kind of can lose the audience with that. So keeping that simple and clear, and then using images and stories just simply to provide a story of the results. So the examples and the images and the stories serve the purpose of storytelling. I would like to focus on keeping the content dynamic in this engagement strategy. So, crafting an intentional opening statement, an intentional closing statement, the opening statement being big, bold, compelling, and clear, memorable. And then the same with the closing statement, sending them home with a clear message that they can carry forward. And then I need to consider the setting and how the information, where and how the information will be disseminated. Is it in a classroom? Is this a panel discussion? Am I presenting before a panel at a conference? That can determine how interactive I can be. Whether I include questions or some brief reflections or some discussion prompts. Maybe they're in a workshop. So I have to think about what is the setting, and then what stories I'll use from the study. My presentation concerns would be timing and time management. I don't want it to feel too much, too dense, or rushed because I'm trying to get through so much information in a short amount of time. So I would address this by practicing the presentation out loud. I want to avoid slide overload. I've seen others where they have like 75 slides and they can't get to them and they're skipping forward to the next ones because, they don't have enough time. And that's again causes disconnect with the audience. I want to have clarity over quantity. I want to be clear about my message and not have a bunch of just information in there. And I want to keep it engaging. The audience can be unpredictable. So that would be one of my concerns, is the unpredictable audience. So how do I work with an unpredictable audience? I have to know my material deeply. I have to understand my material so that I can pivot and make any adjustments if the energy shifts. So ultimately, I see the scholarly presentation as an opportunity to share research, create clarity, invite understanding, foster a professional dialogue, and then make meaningful change. Thank you.